May I call upon stage Mr. N.K. Goel, our guest of honor, President, CMAI.
Mr. N.K. Goel is a postgraduate in science with an experience of about 39 years in the industry. Apart from being president of the CMAI, Sir is also the chairman emeritus of TIMA, vice chairman of ITU APT, chairman CTIA, and is actively involved in policy formulations and development of industrial policies, specially related to telecom and IT sector. Sir is also the former director of National Institute of Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development. Sir will be speaking on the topic, Telecom, the Indian Growth Engine. I would now request Sir to kindly preside over the session.
एक बार फिर से नमस्कार. Good morning to all of you. It's always nice to be with young students, लेकिन कुछ मजा नहीं आया. आवाज मेरी छोटी या पहुंची नहीं आप तक गुड मॉर्निंग की. थैंक यू वेरी मच. एटलीस्ट इट्स ए वे फॉर अस टू कीप यंग ओल्ड एज को दूर करने के लिए आपके साथ रहते हैं. वेल, आई वांट टू टेल यू, आई एम नॉट हियर टू टेल यू एनीथिंग. आई एम हियर टू शेयर लॉट्स ऑफ थिंग विद यू, विद द फैकल्टी and with your professor, Mr. Sunil Patil. And I am a firm believer, because I am coming here, I think this is 4th year now in row, that whatever possible on this earth to know, you know already those things. By virtue of web, by virtue of library, by virtue of directories, by virtue of professor, and lots of experts which every year gather here. So I am here more to share with you, and more to leave you with so many questions. Now, first of all, I want to appreciate Professor Patil for something. The one thing, he is the first in India and perhaps in the world to recognize that telecom operators are shifting from the operator business to something else, which he used the word hollow corporation. Everything being outsourced of what they will do. That is the first thing. And yes, Professor Patil, you said lowest tariff. Add to it highest profitability in the world. Because EBITDA in our case was earlier 30%, now 20%. And yes, it is a good case, very good case for the students to study it. Maybe you will not be able to publish the study, but you know how and why it is happening, because this is a question which haunts us in every part of the world wherever we go. As an association, we have MOU with 54 countries, and everywhere this is the question. Answers are known to most of us, but difficult to share. So a good point for all of you. Professor Patel also started from the period of Sukhram, telecom policy, and now, even now, the controversy. I want to share with all of you that yes, because this sector is delivering, because we have delivered, we have empowered an ordinary person on the street, because we have empowered each and every person sitting in this room and anywhere in Pune or India, by way of a connection in his hand, by way of net, by way of web. You can access everything you want, and that's why this sector is also suffering from the controversies from day one, from Sukhram till to date. And yes, the controversies are because of conflicts of interest, existing and new operators, conflict of technologies, conflict of GSM, CDMA, conflict of LTE, WiMAX, 3G, 4G, 5G, conflict of a technology expert sitting somewhere in an air-conditioned room and thinking of now for 5G or 6G, and controversy of making it as a world technology, as we say 3G now, but we are using 3G for delivering 2G. And a conflict where usually, in fact, I have occasion to inaugurate CES Las Vegas for the last 3 years, which is the world's largest consumer show. And the view which usually comes up is it a fact that the technology inventor or producer has failed to deliver what he committed, and to overcome that difficulty every time there is a talk of a new technology coming up? In LTE, there is no provision of voice as of now. In LTE, so-called 4G, there is no patent pool by now. There is no handset by now. But everybody is talking of LTE as a future technology. So what happens when the time comes up and we don't deliver, so we talk of 5G. There is not a single person in this world who can commit that I will give you X speed on a wireless broadband or internet. Not even 1 kbps can be guaranteed by him. So what we are talking of 100 GB or 50 GB or so. So this is a conflict again there. The conflict, yes, of lowest tariff and highest profitability. I think, Professor Saab, these are the issues which makes us controversial. And we will remain controversial, whatever comes may be. Other choice is we become like a power sector, agriculture sector, where there is no growth. So these were the things. And sir, you talked of vast revenue sharing problem, the problem of business model not workable for rural areas. With due respects, I think this is a wrong notion following up. On the reverse, the rural areas are highest profitable when it comes to use of technology, and they have the most need for the technology. The problem is, I call it personally as hunger. Hunger with the everybody we see, operator, manufacturer, government, everybody. Hunger for more data, hunger for more speed, hunger for more revenue, and perhaps a hunger where we forget that nobody in this world can become big of his own. He survives or he becomes big because of even a small rickshaw puller on the road. The moment we step out of the home, we use a road built up by some poor man. We breathe good air because of somebody working in the plants, in the agriculture. We take good food because somebody has produced it. But because of that hunger, we try to avoid these questions. So the question of rural is not the business model. The question is easy money. The easy money is, say, for the cities or for the urban areas. So, in fact, I have changed the way I want to talk to you, and I don't want to go through the presentation. It's available with you in the institute and also on my website on Facebook, cmi.nkgoyal. You can see it there. But now, an interesting point I want to share with you for 2-3 minutes, and then enough time for question answers. You know, we all hear of knowledge management. I think knowledge is not lacking anywhere. Each one of us can get any knowledge he wants, as I said in the beginning. But the issue is diffusion of the knowledge or application of the knowledge. That's where the key lies. I also find we face information inequities now. That means there was a time when we did not know that we did not know. 10 years before, we were not knowing of internet, we were not knowing of web, we were not knowing of cloud. And now, the problem is we know that we do not know. Because every presentation, every speech, every lecture, every article leaves with us some questions to be unanswered. Every time we hear of something new, we don't know what it means and how it comes up. Interesting thing happened in India about the telecom growth, we all know. Human resource is the thing we talk always. But I have a basic thing. Whatever expert we have in the world, nobody could have thought the way India has grown in telecom. Even today, there is nobody who can map easily the expectations of the people and the technology and what will come up in due course of time. You know, my last point before we proceed to question answer is the innovations. Everybody talks of innovation, but the fact is innovation lies here with you in the institute at the student level. Most of the research, most of the things we see have been developed, invented by some professor or student sitting somewhere. I think here we are working with the government in different capacity to promote innovations, to promote R&D, to promote manufacturing. But innovations, as I'm saying, basically comes from you. There are 2 points to this. One is the demand. Because there was a demand, so a wireless was invented. Basically, not for public, but for army and military uses. Because of demand, we have the fire invented, but there was no design in the fire. And because there was a desire, so we invented wheel, and there was a design for that. Because we had a desire, so invented 3G, 4G, Apple, iPad, etc. That's how the things come up. And while we are talking all these things, the biggest challenge for all of you students is because you are the future leaders. You are the persons who are going to rule the world and India, telecom sector and other sectors. And Symbiosis, I find, is a wonderful institute, as has been said in the beginning. The only institute, perhaps, if I can say, in world for last 15 years or so, dedicated for telecom. Nowhere I find a institute for telecom. A institute which trains the students in such a way that I was sharing with Professor Patil that wherever I go, I find lots of ex-Symbiosis students, and I'm happy to share with you that the pride they have, the first thing they meet me, sir, I'm ex-Symbiosis. That gives me also pride that yes, I'm a part of Symbiosis. So the challenge all of you have is, how do you try to balance different versions, different things? How do you try to survive in these conflicts? And how do you put up your positions for this thing? Another point which we have left out somewhere is the national interest versus the interest of some individuals. You know, cyber crimes, hacking, cyber security have become big issues. Well, on the one side, we are happy that we have grown. On the other side, it is also a fact that next war will not be fought on the borders of any country. Wars are being fought now on internet. It is possible today, within in India also, by a click of one person somewhere, sitting somewhere, he can make the entire system here way, the airlines, the airports, the trains, the banking, everything. And we are very much susceptible to that, and as per the government interventions, in the last 3 months, there were more than 500 attacks on our systems. So here also, as a government and as an association and as elder people, as was said by Mr. Dalal in the morning, that we are the older generation, we look for you because most of these things can be handled by you and not by us. Last year, while we were giving the National Telecom Award, I came to know something very surprising, which will be serious to you also. I found out a person called Ankit Fadia, who is an Indian, very young, today aged hardly around 26 or 27 or so, wears an ordinary t-shirt and chappals, doesn't know much how to talk or do the things, but he was the person who was summoned by USA to decode the messages of 9/11. He was the person who was summoned by Gujarat and by Bombay. So that's where the power lies, the innovation lies. We awarded him as the best cyber expert in the world. So this is also a requirement for that. And Professor talked of broadband. Yes, we want to have the broadband. Unluckily, because of some people's lobbying, it looks as if wireless is the only solution in the world. But let's face the fact that no part of the world has given away the wireline or the fixed. And in India, we are lucky to have Sam Petroda with us, who has a vision, and he has put up the government policy to connect the entire universities and panchayats, etc., by the optical fiber. I think with this, I will like to have enough time for all of you to question anything you want to question. And I will leave presentation to be seen on the websites. I thought there will be so many questions from you. Yeah, please go ahead. As was said by Professor Patil, you can ask questions, even the silly questions. Please go ahead.
Privileged or the people who are not, who are scarce at resources. And on the other hand, we have a population that has a voracious appetite for technology. We are talking about tablets, 3G enabled handsets. So how do we plan to bridge the gap that has widened over the years?
Your question will be answered in 2-3 parts.
Okay.
The one part, as I said in the beginning, as a student aiming to come up in the market, you have to be ready with the new technology, iPads, 4G, 5G, all these things, because they are in demand now. Now, to understand the thing, there will always be 2 things coming up simultaneously. One, because of technology changes, new technology, new device, clouds coming up, trying to address a particular segment of the market. On the other side, government will always be interested to bring up the lowest segment up. So what happens in India, we have Ambassador also, Fiat also, Rolls-Royce also. So all these things continue together. But as I said, because of the hunger of a businessman, everybody now wants to go for a Maruti or for Honda City. Very few people want to go Ambassador. But Ambassador survives. And the needs of the country is Ambassador also. So these will be the situations.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So my name is Shobneet Bhargav. I am from System and Finance. Sir, my question is like National Broadband Policy 2011. It has been delayed a lot this year, sir. So, sir, and all the telecom players are actually waiting for the this policy. So, sir, what do you think, sir, is there in the policy, and when it's going to be out there in the public, sir? So, and what are the plans of actually the government regarding this national telecom policy?
Okay, as regards policy, first of all, let me tell you that if I speak on behalf of the government, because I am in the government formulations thing, the policy will be out within next 2 months or so. It's already been sent to the cabinet for approval. But it is not a fact that operators or anybody looking for the policy, because most of the things are already there. The only thing which government expect to address in this is about the spectrum allocations, about the acquisitions, mergers. These 2 things. For the broadband, already they have announced optical fiber to come up. So basically these 2 things are to be addressed, which hope within next 2 months they will come up.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Prashant from the second year Marketing Finance, SITM. Sir, my question is about the financial inclusion. Nowadays, the government, the finance minister and the telecom ministry both are working together for the financial inclusion at the bottom of the pyramid. And they are seeing the fact that the penetration of the telecom subscribers is around 70-71%. But the areas which are unbanked or underbanked, they want to provide the basic financial services with the help of mobile or let's say communication devices. So, but still the growth or the models which have been adopted, and they are being very stringent, they are suffering because of very stringent KYC norms by RBI. So, what's your take, how this can be picked up, or how bottom of the pyramid can be served through mobile banking in a better way?
Okay, answer in 2 parts as usual. The one is, government is keen for inclusion, yes, and government also knows that mobile is the only thing available now with the customer. As was said by Mr. Dalal, that operators have access to the customer at the end. So mobile will be used for this thing. Now, as regards the stringent norms, other things, there will always be a conflict for the purpose of national security and for the purpose of growth. There will always be a conflict for any institute or university, the amount of fees they charge or the amount of education they give. Not difficult, they are very difficult to manage or give a correct answer. But the fact is that Government of India has taken lots of new steps. Now the UID in India is the world's unique program. And government is looking forward for UID to be implemented so that we have a unique identity with every citizen. And we hope as an association and as a government, most of the problem is sorted out when we have the UID. So this problem will be sorted out in due course of time. As regards second part of question is, mobile is good, very good, it's with the customer. But why does everything has to go to mobile only? The health, the banking, the insurance, the purchase of flowers, or purchase of books, everything. And perhaps government has realized, not all of us here, that there is a limitation in the mobile. The mobile as it is, actually I will share with you some other story. When it comes to, you can sit down. When it comes to the security part, we have a tie-up with Israel, which is supposed to be most secure network in the world. And what they do, every month, by virtue of a policy, the agency attacks the operator's network and try to find out the loopholes and then correct it. So, while we are discussing with them, they say that the network or the IP protocol or the web basically is designed for easy access. And the moment you say easy access, it is subject to attacks. So there is a dispute going on. When it comes to our country, we always listen for something happened in High Court or Bombay or Gujarat. A lot of you can cry for some days, some months, some weeks, and then subsidize. Why it is so? I was hearing with Professor Patil that perhaps in our country we suffer with something called dichotomy at the top level. The dichotomy is, if I am a big politician, I want to behave a very good person in the world, very liberal, very global, very open. And because we have a democracy, everybody has a right to speak, so I want to satisfy everybody. On the other side, when it comes to security part, then the problem starts. I have an example to share, which is not so good, but its example is, while the Beijing Games were going on, Olympic Games in Beijing, about a fortnight before the game, I was passing through Beijing, and I saw a newspaper which said that in Beijing they have employed more than 20 lakhs cameras, and they were capturing even the photograph of the private bathrooms of residents, and some photograph appeared. So when I was coming back, I thought, let me have the copy of the paper. It will be a good example to show to India that that's how the security has to be. But when I came back after 3 days, on return to Beijing, the newspaper company was abolished. Nobody knows where the company has gone because government simply shifted them out. When it comes to India, the High Court, CCTVs, we all know the stories. And somehow we have a very vibrant country, vibrant agencies. I don't have answer to this, but in the case of CAG report for aviation, in the one side the report says this decision was taken in 58 days, which is too delayed decision. On the other side it says decision was taken in 15 days, which is too early. So I asked a question to CAG, sir, what is the ideal period to take a decision? So anything you do is subject to challenge. So coming back to that thing, for the mobile, government has to safeguard that a poor customer or poor citizen in the village is not put to loss. So they enforce the norms of KVIC, etc. But with UID, we hope it will improve.
Thank you, sir, for your insights.
Good afternoon.
Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sinjini. I'm from Systems and Finance second year. My question is that, as we know, currently maximum cellular service providers are striving to earn a positive EBITDA. So, as per you, certain new concepts like spectrum trading and all those things that are going to be coming up in the next national telecom policy. So, how are they going to impact, or how are they going to come to the relief of these cellular service providers who may want to consolidate or may want to exit the Indian market?
When we started telecom in the country in the 90s during Sukharam period, there was a conscious decision taken. Why we opened up the telecom sector to private sector? Why we had the NTB 94 and then 99? The policy itself says because it requires huge investment, so we opened up to public. In 99, we said because operators are not able to work profitably, so we shifted to revenue sharing. And today now, that revenue sharing is under challenge. Having said that, operators know the business very well. Whatever we may say, they are profitable now. There is not a single case of an operator company who has gone who has gone out of the business or whose shares have dwindled to zero or so. The valuations are always high. So they know the things, how to do their business. And with more and more new technology coming up, thanks to some of us, which are hardly 5% or so, I think this problem is not there. As regards spectrum, yes, because we promoted so many companies. And it happens everywhere. In due course of time, we hope to see some acquisitions, some mergers. Some companies will remain, some will merge. It's a process which goes on in almost every sector. Telecom is also the same sector, not a problem. Spectrum trading is nothing. Basically, because you know what happens, surprisingly now, I wish if I can show you one slide, or you can see it on yourself. There is a slide here by a quote by CTO of Erections, which says that we are saying in this technology we will provide you a speed of 10 GB or so. But he says, I know I cannot give this speed. But I am saying because everybody is saying. Why I cannot give? Because this speed I can give only if you get 20 megahertz of spectrum and only one person works. So it's impossible. So spectrum trading or spectrum basically because there are so many operators, spectrum by virtue of space is limited. We can't have unlimited. So there are always possibilities of some acquisitions, mergers. And as was said, the model of Virgin was quoted. We hope some model will come up in future also like this.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Aditya. I'm from Marketing and Finance, second year, SITM. Industry like Indian Telecom, wherein there's a pressure from regulatory side, wherein earlier 3G was also thought that it will create a big transformation to the industry, but yet it has not get that kind of pace. Even MNP is not a very successful step in the Indian telecom industry. So different kind of pressures on the different telecom value chain stakeholders. So what do you think that in what way they have to proceed ahead so that they can provide an inclusive growth to the country, wherein we can also minimize the unequitable distribution of resources between urban and rural people?
I think I have already answered this question of urban and rural divide also. I don't have as such any specific thing ahead. I think the policies are being made in the right way. I don't find anything quite disinteresting or some sudden change in the policy required. Operators are progressing, country is progressing, we have achieved so much success, and that goes to the government policies. I think we'll have a last question and then I am told I am running out of time. Please repeat.
Why government is not allowing VoIP to be terminated on PSTN?
Sorry, question not understood.
Normally when you use a VoIP on internet like Skype or any other things, the government is allowing VoIP to be terminated on other countries. If you make a call through VoIP to own country, then it's illegal. Why is that?
Is your question that government is not allowing VoIP?
Yeah, my question is why government is not allowing VoIP originated from India and to be terminated to India?
It's very simple, as you know, because we have a system of licensing. There are certain persons who have been given license, who have paid X amount of fees, and if this is allowed, then their revenues will be affected. So they always have objection to this, and government has to make a balance between the two things. It's a process goes on. Let's hope what happens next.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing with us your ideas and insights on the rapidly growing Indian telecom industry. You very truly and aptly put into words our unending hunger for more data and data speeds. The expectations from the industry are increasing day by day, and we will have to evolve with the evolving customers and markets to survive. We thank you for bringing these crucial points to our notice and, of course, instilling enthusiasm in the audience. Thank you, sir. I would now request my colleague to felicitate sir with a memento as a token of our gratitude. Thank you, sir.